yield. I will not yield.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
And we just finished binging Season 5 of House of Cards. So, of course, we are now going to review it. And in reviewing 13 episodes straight, this will be absolutely full of spoilers.
Yes.
Because I can think of no other way to do it. The only spoiler-free I got of this, if you want to see my spoiler-free review of the first episode, you could check that out right here. So I did a little spoiler-free of just the first episode alone.
And that was hard to do.
That was a challenge to do that spoiler-free. There's something about this show that is just... It's not juicy unless you talk about the spoilers, because otherwise, what do you have to talk about?
I agree.
So, let's just spoil everything. So, as we get into Season 5 here, the thing that I think I liked first is throughout from the beginning to the end of the season, all we had was Frank and Claire on their toes. Everybody was against them. Like the first half of the season, or maybe first third of the season, it was Conway. So it was Conway, and he was winning the election, so they had a rig.
The first, 5 episodes was building up to the election.
And what was scary about Frank was how he used the threat of terrorists, left the nation open for terror attacks in this show to postpone an election. And all the other weird, crazy political stuff that I hardly understand, but understood enough to know that, wow, he is manipulating the system and almost like pretty much took the election out of the hands of the people.
Mm-hmm. And then put it back into the hands of the people after he knew.
Yeah, when it was just one state left, Ohio.
Yeah, it was,
my home state.
The whole thing was it was unbelievable, but believable enough.
Yeah, but whether that was believable or unbelievable, what I just thought was the most interesting thing about it is throughout the rest of these seasons, it's, Frank and Claire, they're on the march, they're taking it over, this is their territory, and anybody...
Which, that's how it started.
That is how it started, and anybody in their way...
And then once the election...
Yeah.
Didn't happen...
Yeah, that was
weird. They were in defense mode for basically the rest of the show.
Yes, and it's funny because then, so they're in defense mode against Conway. And so they took the election out of the hands of the people. They postponed it till way past January, till it's now up to one state, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And they worked it until it was Frank's.
They released something showing some of his unsavory deals. And so they started a group on, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm spacing all these things, but it's about
because
the
it was
war.
so much to take in.
And so what they did with this small group, this committee on the war on terror that was going to do whatever they were going to do, they figured out a way to throw in investigating Underwood into it.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, they were able to kind of do all these other things. But when this election got postponed, and then there was actual events that they initiated, once that all occurred, it's just crazy. But once that all occurred, that's when it came back to bite them in the butt later on down the road.
Well, I just think it was just interesting to see them on their toes. We see Frank and Claire constantly, they're mowing everybody in their way down. They're taking over.
They're a scary couple.
But in this one, you actually see them quake in their boots. There's like a couple times where you could be like, wow, they could actually lose all they've worked for. And then I went through that confusing thing of Frank and Claire are just so evil. I want them to lose everything they work for.
But they're not going to because they're the main actors of the show.
But also the thing about this show is there's no good guys to be found anywhere.
No.
So whoever
Even
would take...
when you start to root for somebody, then they do something really bad.
For instance, another thing interesting about this season, Conway. So since the
we liked him.
Yeah, since the first half was him running against Frank, he was a little shady. Yeah, he was a little crooked, but I liked him. I liked his family, and so I just thought, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing Conway become president and Frank and Claire have to fight it when they're not president. I kind of thought that was the interesting way they're going to go. But then Conway starts to break down when Frank postpones the election completely.
Oh, because Underwood conceded to him.
Yeah.
And then, initiated, it wasn't martial law, but they initiated it in a way where 2 states couldn't vote.
Yeah, because of terror attacks.
Because of that, they couldn't say that Conway won because he didn't have the electoral
shutting down the voting booths because of some terror attack or in threat of terror. So they kept shutting down like Tennessee, Ohio, and a couple of Pennsylvania. The main states.
No, not Pennsylvania. It was like Maryland.
Okay, Maryland.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The only one that mattered in the end was Ohio because they had the electoral votes that the person needed to get over.
But it's interesting how that messed with Conway's mind, and like he went a little nuts.
Yeah. Well, and there was a moment there because it then goes to the House and to the Senate. And so they were in the process of talking about the vote. And Claire Underwood did get the votes for the vice president. And there was no way that Underwood was going to get the votes for president. Yeah. So that's when they were able to throw it back to the city. But there was a moment there where you thought Conway was going to become president to Claire Underwood being vice president.
That would have been an interesting dynamic if they would have done that.
There would have been something else that would have gone wrong.
But and that was interesting to see Claire be an acting president and get a taste of that power.
And she was also very supportive of her husband, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, because like season 4, they were so utterly divided.
Yes.
But you know they came together as a team. Like they weren't together as husband and wife so much in the season, but they were together as a team that had a lot of respect for each other and wanted the same things, so they were allies working hard together.
Yes.
So that was interesting.
Yes, and I mean, so that part of the story was all great.
Yeah.
Everything else that happened around it was not the best.
Well,
I enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like there's so much extra junk that they add into it that I just do not care about.
Well, first, let me get into some of the stuff that was interesting. So you had Davis, who I like to call Tammy 1 from Parks and Rec.
Leslie Knope, deputy. I don't think it will be necessary for you to speak again while I'm here.
Then you had Usher, not the artist, this other dude. And Usher, was hired to help Conway, and then Conway went nuts, and that was
He's
beyond
like a political advisor that helps you win. He knows the ins and outs. He's got a lot of political connections. Yeah. He's a formidable dude.
What was so interesting, though, between Davis and Usher is, at first when Davis gets introduced into the show, it seems like, okay, who is she? What does she do? But then all of a sudden...
You can tell she's not somebody to mess with.
Yeah, she's got power, man.
She's got something going on.
She's got power, and she is playing every side of the coin. Like, I'm watching the show, and I'm like, she must be fighting for herself. No, she's not. She's actually not fighting for herself.
She's fighting for the Chinese?
Oh, no,
the Russians?
No, she's for the... Nope, she's on Claire's side. She loves Claire. No, she's on Frank's side. Oh my gosh! I mean, just the way
flip-flop all over the place.
But she's got a goal and an end game. Yes. I don't know what that is. So she's
we
serving,
have ideas, but we still don't know now that the season's over.
She's serving something, but it's not really Frank or Claire. But I think she genuinely likes Claire. But that's what makes her very interesting.
She's serving herself. In the end of it all, is whatever's going to make her rich.
True.
And if it's with Frank and Claire and helping them, she'll do it because that's what will make her profitable in the end.
But it was interesting because she acted just like Tammy 1 from Parks and Rec, like the way she talked, her personality, and everything, and the way that she had asserted that power over Ron Swanson, and the way April Ludgate was like, "Yes, ma'am." Like, she brought that same, in a non-comedic way, brought the same kind of commanding thing over here to the point that she could go toe-to-toe with Frank, and she wasn't nervous to do it.
The only thing for me is, why wasn't this character introduced earlier in the show? Because really, I have a hard time believing we would not have met her yet.
Yeah, in like the early seasons when Frank manipulated his way into the presidency.
Once he manipulated his way into the presidency, I don't know how she was not around.
Yeah.
But maybe she wanted to wait till closer to an election, which is possible.
It's true.
She was friends with Kathy Durant, who I liked Catherine Durant, and she was about to come clean, and Frank Underwood pushed her down some stairs, and so I'm guessing she's in a coma.
I don't know.
She's not dead. We know
she
that
wasn't
much.
dead. I don't think
they just said we hope for a speedy recovery. You keep hearing that, but you don't see her anymore.
I like Kathy Durant. I hope she takes this as a time to retire and get away from these evil people. But
she was trying to say her piece so she could get Underwood, in trouble.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody turned against Underwood this season.
Yes.
And it was so interesting to watch Underwood lose all this support that he kind of had gained. And nobody actually supported him. They were just kind of supporting their interest and maybe a little scared of him. But suddenly to even see like Walker, the president that, Frank talked out of the presidency.
Yeah, but he had a hard time with Frank after he got
The point that I'm trying to get at is to watch everybody break their silence and be against Frank was a very...
Most people.
Yeah, but what I don't get, because I don't see how this would work in real life, how the world turned against Frank, but everybody loved Claire. It's like, but they're married. Like, I know, like, we see that they don't act like they're married, but the world in this show...
don't act like they're married.
The world in this show sees them as a couple, together, standing together. So I have a hard time...
You would think that people... But there's one thing where people have seen Frank do slimy things through his however many years, and Claire's new, and she did a great job when he was in the coma. She did a great job. That was the season before when he was getting his kidney replaced.
Yeah, not his. Was it a kidney? It was a kidney.
Yes, it was kidney.
I can't even remember.
And then she was doing a great job when she was the acting president in this show, because during that time where nobody was president, she was elected vice president, and so she was the acting president, and she did a great job with that, even though Frank was there next to her for all of those decisions. But you could tell they supported each other.
Yeah, so many people, they like Claire. So
There's something about Claire that they just trust, unlike Frank.
So then you have Usher, who's the other side of Davis. And there's a couple times when it's like Usher and Davis look like they're friends, and they're working towards a goal together.
They knew each other from back in the day.
Yes. But then all of a sudden, they're enemies, like, in a way. Like, they're frenemies.
Yeah.
And so it's
they just have differences of opinion.
So Usher starts to really play Claire. Davis really starts to play Frank. And yet, they also flip-flop where Usher feels like a real friend to Frank, and Davis feels like a real friend to Claire. It's so interesting what they're doing with these two roles. And then at the end of the season, when Claire is president, you have him, Usher, trying to put his way in to be her vice president, which was kind of an interesting little grab for power there at the end.
Well, so now that you mentioned it, Claire, or Frank ends up resigning as president, and Claire becomes the president.
Yes, before we get there,
I was going to, but you mentioned that he asked to be the vice president, so that's why I went there.
No, I know. There's just one thing.
I know. I want to talk about a couple other things first, too.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the worst character on the show.
No,
Tom
Mr. Yates.
You know why he's the worst character on that show? Because he's just so weird. He's just this character. He stands in the back and he talks really low, like this. And every time he talks, it's really creepy. And then he'll act like he's trying to say something really artful. And so he tries to sound like that, but really, it just comes off creepy. And I can't freaking understand why Claire even likes this guy.
I don't know.
He is so weird.
Loves him.
Oh, he's so weird.
I don't know. There is a point where I'm like, okay, I even wrote this down in notes. By episode 10, I'm like, why is he still on this show? He's not her speechwriter anymore. He is just a liability.
He was the speechwriter. And then
he said he didn't want to be the speechwriter anymore. So but he wanted to stay in the White House to work on his book.
But he was just so weird. It really just felt like so many times he's there to fill the runtime of the episode. And the conversations he and
my gosh, they were so boring.
They had nothing to do with anything, and they're boring. Filled with him.
Oh, except for the one time
like
when Claire looks over at him and says, well, Francis killed Zoe Barnes. And oh my God, the senator, I can't think of his
whatever.
name.
See, that's where you think, oh, I get the importance of it now.
Okay, he's going to be the one who rats him out.
No.
Nope.
No, it's not even that. And all he does is he sits there and he talks like, I love you, Claire, and I'm not scared of you. He's just so weird.
Just so weird.
He's so weird. Like, when he was on screen.
Well, it turns out he should have been scared of her.
The way he stares at people, the way he stares at Claire, the way he stares at other people, the way he talks, the way he moves, he is a total weirdo creeper.
Well, so we learned his reason for being on the show.
Yeah, his whole reason for being...
was to show that Claire could be more ruthless than I think any of us expected her. Well, I'm sorry, I expect her to be that ruthless.
The whole reason he was there was so that we could see Claire truly fall in love with him, and they did their best in the show to make that real. And they did. She genuinely fell in love with him.
Didn't really feel it.
Then she murdered him. For that reason, his role was super crucial. I get it. It was to show her fall in love, and then to show she could be
that she can do whatever it takes.
Yeah, she could be as ruthless as Frank and kill the love of her life for ambition. But you know, it was almost not even worth it for me for that turning point because he was such a creepy...
There are so many other people. I would have preferred her killing Doug Stanford. Personally. Stamper. I don't care.
Stamper.
I'm sick of this guy.
She called him Doug Stamper, Tom Stamford, Greg. She can never get his name.
Well, there's like 3 Toms in this show. You are creepy. You are weird. You have a weird personality. I'm like, but now I understand the reason you're still on this show is because you're going to take the fall for the president and admit that you killed Zoe Barnes, when in actuality, it was Underwood.
Yes. Which, that was a cool little twist that it turned out when Frank Underwood went to that little resort in California, he developed a plan to sabotage himself. And so he was leaking to the press the details of all all of his sins.
He was sabotaged. That, I will say, not predictable.
Yes.
Not predictable.
And so he resigns as president, looking self-righteous in it, makes Claire the president, expecting that she will pardon him of all of his wrongs.
Yeah, and he comes up to her and he's like, oh, it's like, I've been planning this forever. And she was pissed. She was like, We're partners. We don't ever not share with each other what's going on. And you kept this from me? This is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So when she's giving her first presidential address...
She's supposed to pardon Frank.
She does not. And at the very, very, very end...
She hangs up on Frank.
No, she doesn't hang up on him. She
ignores his
doesn't
call.
answer.
Yeah, she hits the ignore swipe thing, yeah.
And she says...
Turns to us,
yeah,
the audience.
Yeah, because she finally started to break the fourth wall and says...
And she says, my turn. I mean, there were a lot of good moments.
There's a lot of good moments.
But I think that was my favorite, to see Claire do that.
Because, see, it's like, while watching this season, I'm like, I probably don't have to pick up the next season. But then she does that, I'm like, I want to see what's going to happen.
This show does a good job with that. When an episode ends, it's just the right hook that makes you go, okay. Yates was super creepy, and every scene he was in was beyond stupid and boring. And I know if I hit play on the next episode, I have to go through 20 minutes of pointless creepy Yates boring crap, but the way this ended, I want to know what's gonna happen. Like, the show does a really good job of continuously hooking you and bringing you back, and the way the season ended, I'm hooked. I'll be back for season 6.
I will too. But I will say, if you haven't started watching this show, I wouldn't recommend it, I don't think. Because really, season 1, season 2, loved. Season 3 is okay. Season 4 was kind of a snooze fest. Or was that season 3? I don't know. One or the other.
Season 4, I think.
And then this season started to get back to where it used to be season 1 and 2, but it just didn't capture that, like, awesomeness as the first 2 seasons. And to me, it's kind of like a lot of those shows where it's like, why am I going to invest, 13 hours times 5 seasons?
Yeah. It's funny because, like, what I should have done is gone back and binge the other 4 seasons before season 5. But you know what?
Work.
Yeah, I thought that. Like, I thought I need to go binge this, so I'm re-up on everything fresh.
Yeah, because there's some things that we didn't necessarily remember off the top of our
But I just decided against it. I didn't really want to do it. So what's your letter grade for season 5?
B-. I think a B-. I want to say C+, but I'm going to go with B- because I want to watch the next season.
I think I'll be in agreement with you. B-. I'm hooked enough that I want to see where it goes. I honestly do hope, though, that season 6 would be its final season. I think it's about time to finally just kind of
figure out how to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. We have the Underwoods are a very dynamic couple.
I'll be interested to see how this works in the next one.
It's a very fascinating show. I am curious what's going to happen under Claire Underwood's presidency.
Especially since she didn't pardon Frank. And how is Frank going to come against her?
So there's a lot of things that are promising to be interesting in season 6, but honestly, I would like season 6 to be the conclusion.
Me too.
Because I'm reaching a point where it's like, well, you can keep hooking me, but I'm really about done. I'm ready to see how this story wraps up.
I agree.
Well, there you have it. What did you think of House of Cards Season 5 if you had the chance to binge it? Let us know in the comments while you're there. Hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Next to the subscribe button is that bell. Click that bell so that way you're notified the moment I drop new videos.
And if we missed anything that you think we should talk about, say it in the comments.
Say it in the comments.
Start saying spoiler alert first.
Yes, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you about Season 5. Cody Leach joining me Wednesday, and we are going to update our state of the DCEU after we have both seen Wonder Woman. Check out Cody Leach's review for Wonder Woman on his channel. Check out our review for Wonder Woman on our channel, and join us Wednesday for our state of the DCEU update. Looking forward to doing that with Cody. So I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
Thank you for checking out Durbania.